on. Okay, let's talk about two of the biggest brands in the world, Apple and Google. And they're struggling to get remote workers back in the office. Dum, dum, dum. I mean, it cracks me up. It cracks me up. And I'm going to break this down for you, but let me give you the punchline before I tell you the joke. How about that? I'm feeling frisky on this Friday. The punchline is when fearful leaders make decisions based on their panic, they create bigger problems for themselves than the fear itself. That's a mouthful. That I hope you all appreciate how deep that comment is. When fearful leaders make decisions in a panic, the outcome of those fearful decisions end up being far more detrimental than the thing they were afraid of. Okay? Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. That is good. And now here's the joke. I gave you the punchline. Here's the joke. This is an Axios article. Apple's remote work struggles suggest there's no going back. There is a group of Apple employees who are pushing back against the order from CEO Tim Cook to return to the office 3 days a week starting next month. It's actually this month. I'm sorry. This article was at the end of August, and I'm citing this article, but this is September is the month, and so here we are. Because Tim Cook wants to hang on to the in-person collaboration essential to our culture. So here's the CEO of Apple. Okay, wildly successful companies going, I think the in-person collaboration when we're all in the office together is essential. And I also can't help but be amused by the fact that a CEO of a company says, we need to come back to the office, and you get all these little snowflakes going, we don't want to come back to the office, Tim. I mean, this is his order. And everybody thinks they've got the right to protest. You really don't have the right to protest your CEOs. You really don't have the right. You can do it, but like it's the company's decision. This is the deal. Now you could go protest politics. You have the right to protest as an American. You can protest anything you want to. But when you work for a company and they go, "This is what we're doing," and you want to start protesting, you think that, well, I'm allowed to protest and get what I want. Well, in all reality, Tim ought to fire all those people. Now that's what I would do. Because see, protesting and sending petitions around the office is an act of absolute open defiance. And some of you are going, man, Ken, no, I'm not harsh. Oh, let me just tell you this. You can leave. You can leave the company. You can absolutely be pissed off. Good for you. Great. Fantastic. Hold on to principle. I'm all for it. Walk. But this idea of this is what we're going to do, and we're going to file a petition. And we're going to show Tim Cook he's wrong. If Tim were strong, he'd go, look, this is what we're doing. And if you don't want to do it, we are going to give you a generous severance package and you can go find work somewhere else. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but I would say you're leaving. You either comply or you leave. It doesn't have to be some big showdown. Well, they're circulating this petition, demanding more flexibility. See, that's what kills me. You're demanding. Well, you can go demand anything you want to. I tell you to go pound sand. You demand, I tell you to pound sand. That's my leadership position on that. And listen, can I also say I'm having a little bit of fun, at some of these people who just think that their will is what's important, as opposed to, look, I work for a company and they've got leadership and they've made decisions on policies and I get to decide whether or not I want to do it or not, which means that I decide whether I want to be here or not. You got all the freedom in the world. And I'm having a little bit of fun with the attitude and all this protesting nonsense. But can I also say I understand the fact that here's what happened. When Apple disbanded, and this is the point I made, this was the punchline. When Tim Cook and other big tech CEOs and other company CEOs got all scared about getting criticized for having people work in the office, and Dave Ramsey got criticized in the national media. I mean, people literally called him a murderer. By the way, no one at Ramsey Solutions died from COVID. And I was here every day during the pandemic because I was deemed essential. Never felt so important in my life. But I was here every day doing my show, leading into Dave's show. Okay? I was here. I am a firsthand witness that we were all, well, not all of us, but it was about 50 of us that didn't go home at all, ever. But the rest did for a while until we figured it out. And then our company made a decision. We're safe. We can work safely. We took precautions. We did all the things. And yes, we had COVID outbreaks in our office, and we're okay. But Tim Cook made a decision. He freaked out, sent everybody home. So then you had people who were living in the Bay Area or 3 hours or an hour and a half outside the Bay Area because that's all they could afford. And this is my empathetic statement. Okay? And so then they said, well, wait a second, we're going to work remote, so I'm going to move to Texas or Florida or Tennessee and get a huge income pay raise because my taxes are reduced. And so now they're going, wait a second, you're telling me I got to come back, but for 2 years, I was able to do my work from home. Let me just say this. I understand those of you. I get it. You've proven that you can be effective from a remote job. I get it. I understand your frustration. But what I'm saying is, if the leadership says this is what we're going to do, you have two choices. Do it or leave. Well, that's what it ought to be. But Tim Cook is letting this nonsense happen. And I don't think it's going to go back. The New York Fed did a survey and found that 20% of the work getting done in service firms in the tri-state area around New York is being done remotely. And the percentage was above 50% on average in professional, business, and financial services. So in certain regions of the country, it has been almost all remote work. And here's the real issue. So I understand those of you who are frustrated. And I'll tell you why else I understand why you're frustrated, because your leaders aren't giving you a good vision as to why they want you back. They just say things like, well, we think it'd be great for collaboration and culture. Leadership that has to move drastic change, meaning we're going to go from here to there, has to cast vision. But Tim Cook and everybody else who got themselves into this, they did it because they didn't want to be criticized by the media. And so they did whatever the media said was safe to do. They did it. And now they're struggling because they really do want people back in the office. Google's going through the same thing right now. They started getting people back into the office. And this is a report that says in their California offices, you've got a Silicon Beach campus in Venice. You've got a Playa Vista campus just 4 miles away in Los Angeles County. And so everybody came back in, and they're probably testing like crazy, right? And they've had collectively in the 2 offices alone since returning, it looks like just shy of 290 cases of COVID. And people are freaking out, man. And so now they're going, we don't want to work here. You made us come back, and now we got COVID. Ah! And these CEOs, again, remember I gave you the punchline? When a scared, panicky leader, we make decisions because we don't want to get criticized. And so we do the thing, we go, okay, we're going to make this mass decision that we really don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about. We don't spend a whole lot of time, going, what could be the negative implications of this other than just, okay, we got the media off our back. We're not going to be called murderers and reckless with our employees' health. And that's what this thing became. COVID became a political football, and you had 2 schools of thought on it. People that were scared out of their mind and people that were like, okay, I'm kind of going to manage this and navigate, see how this thing plays out. And the lesson here is twofold. Again, those of you that love remote work and you're choosing remote work, understand you have drawn a line in the sand. And I think there'll be a lot of remote jobs that are available. But I do think there is a continuing effort from leaders, even the Tim Cooks and the woke companies like Google and Apple that are trying to get people back in, but it's not working because they've created a bit of hypocrisy. And leaders, don't overreact when you're fearful. Stay calm.